Ladies and gentlemen, welcome along to another round of your not your X5 season, that's a good start. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome along to another round of your F5 season. I said the wrong letter. And we are here for the British Grand Prix, which is round number 6 of your PSGL season. And we should be in for a very good one. We've got 16 drivers taking to the field here in Britain. And we've got a few already out on the circuit. A wet circuit, but not quite wet enough for the full blue compound of time. My name is Joseph Black, aka Cockcast. I will be taking you through this one alone, as the time zone changes in Australia appear to have ruined my co-commentator, and I'm hoping that at some point tonight he will wake up, or some point this morning he will wake up, and he will come and join me in the commentary box. That, of course, being Lindsay Muddle, but not expecting anything. And so we are going to head into this race. Just me and you racing this evening. Or racing? I'm not racing, trust me. Just me and you heading through this evening. And, 16 very, very highly esteemed drivers ready to take to the field. And the first couple are coming across the line for their first couple of Silverstone runs. Of course, I say that we're driving. My Silverstone time trial is a 1 minute 30. So I'll just leave that one there on the table and, just add that to the fact that I'm expecting the qualifying, which is a slower session, lap time, about a pole time, to be about a 25 something. So I'll leave that one there. We've got Noel here heading through the first sector. 30 seconds it took him to head through that first sector, and now we have 2 more sectors to go, of course. There are 3 sectors in this race, and there are 2 Williamses in this race. We've got Noel, and we've got Jacob Strode. Then the notable drivers is the fact that we've got about 7 million NLR drivers, and we've got 2 EVE drivers. Their team not existing as of the end of this game cycle, and so it is a question mark as to whether, or as to where even, these drivers end up going. Noel across the second sector split with a 109.1, and now he's only got 1 more sector, which is only comprised of 2 more braking zones to go before he heads out to the end of that lap and completes a circuit of the British Grand Prix, and he invalidates in one of those last 2 corners, and he will not be setting a time. Akim Lai first across the line, 35.8. Giovanni Galliotto going 5 tenths faster with a 35.3. And I don't know what I'm talking about, to be honest, with the time trial times, because it is a wet session, so I am waffling out of my I'm not sure how to phrase it in a way that would be considered family friendly, but that is the first few lap times on the board. It's a 35.3 from Giovanni Galliotto. That is right up the very peak, and Nathan displacing him, one of the 2 EVE drivers that I said about earlier, with their team leaving at the end of this game cycle. But Nathan putting himself in P1 and putting the Racing Bulls team in a 1-2 with Alessio Fiorina going in 3rd. And Giovanni Galliotto being displaced off the top with Ivan Santamaria going onto that front row, and Takubi actually going into P3 as well. So Galliotto drops all the way down to 4th. But not a bad first time. Looking at Dennis Langrock, who's now gone up to the top of the times with a 34.4. And that is not a bad time by any stretch of the imagination. 4 tenths ahead of Nathan in P2. Patrick Pillis had an invalid 34.3 on that first run, and that would have been enough for pole position, but not quite good enough. He invalidated on one of the corners at least, and that will be his run and qualifying over. Noel, of course, not setting a lap time either. Akim Lai, in the end, the first driver to come across the line and the slowest driver to come across the line, 35.8. And he's a 10th off Mikolai Novicki in P8. Patrick Pillis, of course, invalidating on his lap. He will not be setting a lap time, despite the fact that he's on track. Devin Martinez will, unless he does invalidate in the final couple of corners. We'll have to wait and see what the Haas driver does. As last time I said that they only had 2 corners to go, and then they invalidated in one of them. So there we go. Devin Martinez, can he do a little bit better as he heads through the final couple of corners? The benchmark time is a 34.4, and Devin Martinez will not be competing with that as he comes into the pits. Our first few runs have or our first lap times have been set on the board by a few of these drivers. And it's Dennis Langrock that leads the lot. And it's the likes of Akim Lai that have a lot of work to do. Olmedo, Lang and Villegas not even leaving the pit lane. And so it'll be interesting to see when they actually decide to set their times. At the moment, of course, missing out by not setting their lap times yet. And they will give it another go in a couple of moments' time. Jacob Strode has started his push lap, and he currently sits in P12. One of the drivers to have not set a lap time yet. The lap times you really want are the likes of what Patrick Pillis has just been able to set, a 34.9 to go up into P3. But still 5/10 off of Dennis Langrock's time at the start. So an incredible lap time to start us off from Dennis Langrock then. Just showing that there is more pace on this circuit than some would have you believe in terms of with their lap times. Akim Lai coming across the line with a 35.8, demonstrating that the track might be a little bit slower than that, but Dennis Langrock completely just demonstrating that it's a skill issue from Akim and going up into a 34.4. Jacob Strode, who's moaned about his pace pretty much ever since the start of the day. So we'll see where the Briton ends up going. But if he has anything to say in it, he won't be very high at all. But of course, these drivers do like to talk about their abilities in a negative light. Just maybe playing mind games with some of the drivers around them. And Jacob Strode, yep, going up fastest and demonstrating that that may well be the case for himself as he goes up quickest, saying that his biggest component was race pace. But his qualifying pace so far, at least, I mean, it's pole, or it's provisional pole. So I don't know what he's waffling about, to be honest with you. Thomas Lang is on. He's another one who's talked about his lap times in a negative light, saying he is going to have an absolute stinker tonight. And now he heads through the first sector on his first run. We'll see where the FVR driver is able to put himself, the Mercedes. His teammate is currently Takubi in P6, not in the lobby, I don't believe, but hopefully we can get him back in soon so he can set a better time than that 35.2, which is quickly becoming a lap time not to be feared in this session, and we shall wait and see as to whether that is enough for the top six. David Martinez, who disconnected as well, has managed to make his way back in and will be trying to set a lap time. He hasn't set one so far, sitting in 13th. But I would imagine that will change as well. The first thing that he needs to do is set a valid lap, and then we will see where he ends up going. Thomas Lang heading through the second sector now, and he will be across the second sector split time with a 107.4. That's pretty quick as, he heads across to the final couple of corners. Jacob Strode set that lap time on inters, but drivers are now thinking about softs. Noel, the first one to make that gamble. And Thomas Lang will not even compete or complete that lap as, Jacob Strode might not be wrong about the fact that the softs are 2.3 seconds faster as the lap times are coming down. We've got 8 minutes left in the session, and, for Jacob Strode, he's probably going to be knocked off, or he is going to be knocked off that pole position. Akim Lai has been going 2 seconds quicker, but comes into the pits to switch off of a set of the inters. It is now where the switch has been made, and the softs are the quicker tyre. Just under 8 minutes left in the session, so that's about 2 runs worth of times that they can put in. And of course, Akim Lai, the slowest of them all at the moment, that 35.8 will be looking terrible towards the end of the session as big slide from Noel heading through the first corner, just trying to push the car potentially past the limit of what he can at the moment, but the Williams is now going to try and head through the first sector. The first driver on a set of those softs and see what he can do. The track will still be a little bit greasy as Noel's is finding out. But it's still a little bit greasy. And now he heads through to the first sector split time, 29.7. And it really is the time to switch. Heading through the second sector, he's going to try and keep that momentum going. He wasn't too slow through that first one, despite the fact that he was a little bit struggling for grip. Going to have to avoid these cars ahead of him. That Ferrari's moved out of the way. There's a Haas further up, and he's going to try and get past him as DRS is enabled halfway through his lap. So he will have it on one of the DRS straights, but not the other one. So he's going to look. This lap isn't going to look great, nor is it going to look great for, I believe, that's Ivan Santamaria, who's headed through the DRS detection zone. I could be wrong though, and it could just be Noel that's caught out. A 108.1, so actually slower than what Thomas Lang was able to do on a set of inters. So maybe not the time yet to switch. And, well, Noel is still going to set a lap time. We'll see where this one is going to be. But I think it's going to be pretty easily beaten as he comes up to the line. Yeah, it is going to be pretty easily beaten. A 33.7, which is the fastest time. But it won't be the fastest time for too much longer. Nathan's in the first sector. His teammate Giovanni Galeotto is in the third. And Takubi, who's invalidated, is in the second. His teammate behind is on an outlap, Thomas Lang. And then I believe the next one is Ivan Santamaria, who's improving by a second. And, well, with every corner, he can see that delta going right the way down. He knows that he's improving and improving and improving with just 5 minutes left on the clock. It's not quite crunch time yet, but it's good to set a dry lap on the board. Ivan Santamaria will come around to the final couple of corners now, and we will see where the NLR man is able to put his car, as he will now come around the final two corners, braking heavily, turning in, and then turning in once again for the final corner, trying to get the exit. It's hard to get that grip, but he's done just that, and out onto the final corner, and it's 2.7 seconds quicker than Noel. So demonstrating that Noel really didn't have the pace. Alessio Fiorino going a second slower than Ivan Santamaria. Not quite sure how the Red Bull has been able to pick up that much pace, but we'll see whether anybody else is able to hold a candle to him. Patrick Pillis across the line, 31.2. And, well, Nathan holds a candle, that is for sure, as he goes up. First driver into the 30s. 30.9 for the RB. And he displaces the sister team on pole position. David Martinez displaces Ivan Santamaria on the front row with a 30.9. And Thomas Lang is heading through the second set. So you've got a few drivers on their push laps now. Galeotto being one, who's going to try and improve on his 35.3. And Thomas Lang is another who had more pace than Noel did in the first two sectors. He was on for a 32-something, but he wasn't happy with the fact that he was on a set of the inters. And, well, now he's going to head through the final couple of corners and hopefully set that right. He's only got 2 more corners to go. Heavy braking zone before trying to get the turn in and trying to get the traction on the exit. It's a difficult section to head through, but Thomas Lang does so with ease, and he's going to come out to the line with a 1 minute 30.2. It is the fastest of them all. It's the fastest of them all by a significant margin. 0.7 of a second is what he's improved in comparison to Nathan, and that is a mantle set down to the rest of the field. Akim Lai is going to come into the pits. He was improving by a huge chunk, but it wasn't enough, it seems, as Dennis Langer also dives into the pit lane. Alessio Fiorino, Patrick Pillis, David Martinez, Nathan, and Thomas Lang are all on their in-laps. So everybody will be into the pits within the next few minutes, and will be trying to set their final lap times to try and topple Thomas Lang's 1 minute 30.2. The track would have been getting drier, so I would imagine that he will be pretty okay as we head through towards the end of this session. But yes, everybody's sitting in the pit lane, not quite yet ready to go out and set those lap times, as they're just waiting for as long as they can, because of course they don't get slipstream, but with the way the track is going, it's going to get better and better and better and nicer and nicer and nicer and slicker and slicker and slicker, and then they can just set those times that will be right up the very top. They have to wait as long as they possibly can, and then we will see where they end up going. We are now all coming out of the pit lane and getting ready to start their time, or start their final pushes. around this British circuit. There's about 6 of them who've headed out straight away. Oh, it is exactly 6. With it looks as though Akim Lai and Nathan fighting each other. On the circuit, but it's all good. As now they are, with 1 minute and 22 seconds left, really going to struggle if your name is Thomas Lang. He's coming out of the pits now, but he's going to have to hot-foot it around the circuit, as is Takubi, as is one of the RBs and one of the kick Saubers. Is that it's not Marcus Olmedo, which means that it's Ivan Santamaria. I don't want telemetry up, thank you very much. It's not Pau Villegas, so it's Alessio Fiorino. It's Thomas Lang. It's Takubi. And it's Ivan Santamaria, who are going to struggle to get across the line especially. They're going to have to go absolutely rapidly. Everybody else should make it across okay. That's going to be a McLaren to cross the line to start us off. I believe that will be Patrick Hillis. And then one of the Ferraris as well of Mattia Ramarini. But the final lap times are about to get underway. And we'll see if anybody can hold a candle to Thomas Lang's 1 minute 30. I'd imagine they can because of the fact that the track has evolved and it's rub it in now. But, well, we've got 13 seconds left on the clock. 10, 9, 8. Santamaria is going to be safe. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Oh, Alessio Fiorino has pushed that right to the very end. Thomas Lang won't be improving. He waited too long to come out of the pits, but Alessio Fiorino just about reaching that timing board. And, well, Thomas Lang's session is done, but Alessio's continues. And Patrick Pillis is improving by 1.4 seconds. So Lang could drop to the rear of the field just with that simple mistake. He's going to hope that everybody invalidates or makes mistakes on these laps and trips over each other. But I find that unlikely. Patrick Pillis, 3.1 seconds up. And Thomas Lang will be starting from the back of this field, back there with everybody who's invalidated on this final run. Everything else didn't matter because it's all down to this. And Patrick Pillis heading around the final couple of corners. He will be our pole man for now. But whether anybody else can beat him is another question. Around to the final corner and around to the line. It's going to be a 1:26.6 as he lags across the line. Mattia Ramarini goes faster with a 26.0. Nathan goes even faster with a 25.9. And, well, these lap times that are coming in are thick and they are fast. Noel improving by 5 seconds in the first 2 sectors. And it's going to be it's going to be an improvement up to well, it was 6th place, but it has been removed. And Jacob Stroke going quickest. David Martinez going even quicker. And it looks as though nobody is invalidated on their final run. So Thomas Lang from pole to last in this qualifying session. That is just really not what he would have wanted to have done. And, well, a mistake going out too late has cost him. It's P1 for David Martinez, who'll start on the front row alongside Jacob Strode. Then it's Nathan in P3 and Takubi making it an all-EVE second row. Then Dennis Langrock in P5 and Ivan Santamaria in P6 with Mattia Ramarini, Akim Lai, Giovanni Galeotto and Pau Villegas rounding out the top 10. After that, it's Alessio Fiorino, Mikolaj Novicki, Patrick Pillis, Noel, Marcus Olmedo, and then Thomas Lang, 4.3 seconds off, rounding out the field. And so we shall head to what will be a restart in a minute. And, well, we should be seeing some traditional racecraft from these drivers. And, yeah, we will see Jacob Strode going up. He was the top of the timesheets. He said, I boxed because I realised I wasn't. So I don't know what he means by that. Thomas Lang's engineer told him that he could go out too late. Well, he will not be starting from the front. In fact, he'll be starting from the back as Giovanni Galliotto leads into the first corner. Hopefully nobody leads out of it. And, well, we're all going to retire and set up a new lobby. So we will be heading to an intermission. But after the intermission is finished, it will be race day. Don't go away.
everybody, welcome back to PSGL. George Morgan here and Jack Bennett. All the lights are currently lit here on track, and it is go, go, go! Donoso with a crafty manoeuvre up the inside. Masterclass from the Chilean.
Crucial championship points on offer here.
Do not count out Danny Berezne.
Longe has done the job. This is for the win between these two.
Freddie Rasmussen wins the United States Grand Prix.
Alfie Butcher wins for the first time ever. Lucas Blakely takes the championship. It's Barry Foreman.
Jarno Opmeer is your champion.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another round of your PCF 5 season. And we're here for the British Grand Prix, the home race of, I believe, only one, potentially two drivers on this field, but home race to me. So that's what matters. We're now heading into the race. And, well, with the race coming, it means that we will be in for some very good action potentially, as we had a very, very interesting grid. It was basically just down to who got that final run right. And if some of our quick drivers got the final run wrong, well, they're done for, in essence. And they now have to fight their way through the field, a field of some incredibly quick drivers, and I'm very excited to bring this one to you. We will see where we end up getting to. Get your predictions in the chat as to who you think will take the victory in this one. I reckon it's gonna be who do I reckon it's gonna be? I'm gonna back Dennis Langrock, to be honest. I just think that's. I just have a hunch. I can't speak. I just have a hunch. That is who's going to take that victory today. We are ready to get going here in PCF 5, and the 5 lights are just a couple of moments away, and after that we will get our racing ready, and we are raring to go. Nathan is our championship leader, 4th in Bahrain, DNF, and then 2 victories, and he's looking to try and take a 3rd one here. He shouldn't be doing badly from P3 on the grid, and well, the driver behind him in the championship, Gabriel Pinto, is not racing tonight. We're going to go to the 5 red lights here in Britain. PSGL is back. And it's underway here for PCF 5. Navin Martinez off to a good start. Jacob Strode trying to push to the outside line to close out Nathan. He's done so successfully, and they head through the first few corners with no hitches. There are moves being made further down the field. There's now moves trying to be made for P3 and P4, Takubi and Nathan, who are side by side. Who's going to come out on top in this one? It's going to be a long way around for Nathan, but he's made that move stick, and he's up into Takubi even. He's up into P number 3. Nathan is going to try and fight him back. Dennis is going to try and fight Nathan, but they just sit in behind now. The top 7 already building a 7/10 gap to Pau Villegas, as everybody from about 8th to 11th were scrapping. Hakim Lai has had an awful race start, and he could be all the way down to P13 with Thomas Lang trying to go around the outside as they head now down to Copse. the Mercedes driver shouldn't have started from the back of the field, but got it wrong, and he made it up into P number 12, and he's going to try and continue onwards now. There was a little bit of damage potentially flying off from a couple of the drivers, as hello Ayuman in chat. What do you mean the scene? Mikolai Novicki is going to try and make a move. Thomas Lang is also going to try and make a move, and he doesn't make the move in the end because Novicki makes his way past Galiotto. He's up into P9. David Martinez leads this one at the end of lap number 1, and well, he's going to hope to try and hold on to that. Oh my goodness me. Thank you. I pressed the button didn't work. So that's where we are. Thank you, Ayuman, for that, for letting us know. But I hope you enjoyed the radio commentary early on in that race. As, well, we were 1 lap through this one onto lap number 2. And that is just a typical issue to be having tonight with, well, no Cocom joining me in the box this evening. It is just myself, and of course, knowing myself, there will always be a mistake. Just similar to that. We've got 2 drivers on the soft compounder tyre. Thomas Lang and Mikolai Novicki. Novicki, who's had an awful start to this race and drops all the way back to P15. He's not going to fight forward anytime soon. He's actually going to fight further back, as that's an end plate going off for Marcus Olmedo. That's Novicki running wide. It's a bold move for Olmedo to have made, and there's contact between himself and Novicki. But in the end, it's the Red Bull that makes it through, but now he's missing a front wing end plate, and Novicki really struggling with something in this one, as Jacob Strode takes advantage of the DRS to make his way past into P1. Takubi up into P2, and well, they just continue on. That is disappointing, actually, because the little preview I've got shows that I'm actually showing the race where I was, but never mind. Akim Lai with the fastest lap of the race. Mikolai Novicki looks as though he's going to retire from this race. 10-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. It's almost inevitable that he is going to retire. And there we go. Mikolai Novicki, our first retirement from this race on lap number 3. Although he didn't quite make it to lap number 3. He was still stuck on lap number 2 when he ended up retiring. An early retirement then from the Aston Martin, who has no teammate tonight. As there's a little bit of 3-wide action going on here, with Nathan getting past Dennis Langrock into P number 4. That Langrock trying to hold on to the inside line and trying to take that position, and he does so perfectly. They went side by side into the braking zone, and it was Dennis Langrock that came out on top, and now he's going to try to fight forward for the podium position. David Martinez in P3, and he's going to try to fight back forward and take back that P1 that he held before. But whether he's going to be able to do that or not is a completely other question. Jacob Strode is in P1. Takubi is the first driver with DRS, and he's going to close in, try to overtake with said DRS. They're going to head up the hill, but he's going to tuck back in, and he's not going to make that move. So maybe they're just benefiting off the fact that Jacob is just sitting in P1 at the moment. Everybody else getting DRS and is able to protect their tyres. Thomas Lang makes his way past Pau Villegas. He's making those softs work as opposed to all of the other tyres on the grid. And the man in P8 now looks to try and fight further up. Lang, fastest lap of the race to boot as he heads his way up from P16 all the way up to P8. He's carved through half the field and he's got the other half to go. And with the pace that he's showing, it should be a breeze. But these drivers at the top are at the top for a reason, as there's a send there from Pau Villegas trying to get past Thomas Lang, or potentially outbraking himself. The kick Sauber does back out of the move, which makes me think that that is him having those issues with outbraking himself. There's a fight behind Galiotto and Akim Lai. Galiotto holding on to the position. Lai potentially looking at the outside line. He breaks late, but that means that Galiotto gets the exit and he holds P number 10. David Martinez is closer than he was on the last lap to Takubi, but will not be making that move. It's the top 5 odd drivers who look racy so far. It's the top 6 that are staying in contention, with Ivan Santamaria in 6th place, and he will try to stay in contention. Mattia Ramarini does have DRS, but he's 8/10 back, and so he's not quite looking as competitive as the top few, with how competitive this field is in general. And, well, you can see that it's visible, that gap between them. And I think Ramarini might be losing DRS on that next lap. But They've got 2 DRS straights for them to cling on to it. As there's a send there, and David Martinez is around the NLR driver, has been spun, and he, Galeotto and Lai drop to the very rear of the field. A disappointing one then for David Martinez. And, well, that is exactly not what he would have wanted to see as he headed into the final corner. Just a send there from the RB of Nathan. And surely there's a penalty coming his way. But he does make his way up to P3. So his objective has been achieved for the time being. But 0.8 of a second behind Takubi. That is a big gap to try to breach. The 2 Ferraris side by side, Ramarini and Langrock. Ramarini benefiting from that incident with David Martinez to get back into the chasing pack, and Langrock having to hold it all the way around the outside. But the Ferrari man with the Red Bull pedals hold on to P number 5, and he's going to try and now close back into the top 4. He has the pace to close into them, but whether he does or not is another question. Thomas Lang is now going to be the next driver to try and attack one of the Ferraris. And it's going to be Matteo Ramarini, the first driver up. Lang in P7 as it stands. But now he's going to try and close in on Ramarini with that DRS. Is he going to be able to? Maybe. Is his teammate going to be able to? Yes. And Takubi takes the lead of the race on lap number 5. Not sure who that is. Hopefully they leave soon because they are not supposed to be in the session. Oh dear. What's going on with the people joining the sessions? Well, he's left. Tuki Yusunoda. If you could leave, that would be great. Fastest lap of the race goes to Ivan Santamaria with a 28.5. Faster by 2 seconds than my time trial lap. And if that doesn't show you the level of these drivers, I don't know what will. Takubi holding on to that P1. Nathan closer than ever to Jacob Strode. But with surely a penalty looming over the V-Carb's head, he's now going to try and build a gap as much as he can to break free from the rest of the field. Because, of course, the likes of David Martinez might not report it. Who knows as we head through this race? He might forget about it. He might offer sympathy and just not make that move. But we're all good for this one so far. 6 laps in. And Takubi leads this race with Jacob Strode now sitting in P2. Nathan is now going to try and close in with that DRS down the straight, and, well, we'll see whether he's going to be able to do it. All of the top 11 are still within DRS range. Patrick Pillis is in P12. Not for very much longer, as Akim Lai makes his way past with that DRS, and he's up into P number 12. Hey, in other news, my co-com, Lindsay, has finally woken up from his slumber, and I'm going to hope that we can get him in, so it's not just me for this evening, so you get another voice to listen to. Ivan Santamaria close to Nathan. These top 4 looking close. Langrock trying to close in for these top few positions as well. But the V-Carb looking incredibly racy behind Jacob Strode. And well, we saw a send a couple of laps ago from David Martinez that saw Nathan potentially outbreak himself and cause a couple of incidents. But he's up into P3 and looking to move further up, hopefully staying penalty free. But it is what it is, and now he's just going to have to race from this point forward and try and stay in contention for this race victory, regardless of any penalties that may well head his way. Takubi continues to lead this race on lap number 7 of this one, and David Martinez is trying to fight back. The softs, by the way, of Thomas Lang appear to have gone off a little bit more as he sits in P7, having made no inroads on the 2 Ferraris in the last few laps. He's actually dropped a couple of tenths to Matteo Ramarini, who's dropped a lot more tenths to Dennis Langrock ahead, as Jacob Strode retakes the lead of the British Grand Prix, and the FVR man is now up into P1. Nathan could be making a send, so could Ivan Santamaria, who is going to look down the inside, but trying to force a mistake from Nathan is not the way to go, and he now sits in P4, and will have to wait for another lap. Alessio Fiorino could be getting past Noel on this lap, and he's going to try to do so. DRS is going to be available to all of these drivers within a couple of corners time, and then Jacob Strode could be swarmed. Ivan Santamaria trying to get past Nathan. He's down the inside and trying to make this move stick. He's holding the inside line. Nathan's going to try and squeeze him as much as possible. Nathan's got the slipstream off Takubi. Santa Maria's got the slipstream off of Strode, and it could potentially be 3 wide. It is 3 wide as they head into the braking zone. Who's going to come out on top? Takubi and Nathan, with Santa Maria's exit being compromised, and Dennis Langrock trying to find his way through. Can he do so? We will see as, well, he looks as though he has, but he's been boxed in by Nathan. He pulls to the inside, so he could get another position, could Dennis Langrock, as he heads into the braking zone of Cops, but doesn't do so. And in the end, he just sits in position for now. As, well, I did turn Discord on streamer mode. Clearly, it's not listened, unfortunately. So you may well be getting pings until I can stop them, at least. We will head on to the next few corners of this race. And we will head on to another swap for the lead of this one, with P1 being held by Jacob Strode on this occasion. And, well, it's a hold from Jacob Strode, and the top 11 still within DRS range. And we'll see how long they're going to be able to hold on to said DRS as now. We head on to lap number 9 of 26. And Jacob Strode is one of the 3 people who has led this race. Well, one of 4 if you're including David Martinez, who's dropped down the field. But Strode is in the lead of it. And Takubi will get the DRS once again. Is he going to get close? Or is Nathan going to get close to Takubi? It's going to be the inside line for the RB. And now he's going to head around the outside. No, he's not. He's just going to sit in. And Dennis Langrock trying to take the opportunity. Nathan went a little bit wide there. Opened up just about a car's width. And Dennis is going to be alongside. But is it going to be moving to Cops? We will see as Langrock holds that inside. Nathan's not going to yield around the outside. Langrock's not going to yield down the inside. But in the end, it is Langrock who made that move stick. And now he's onto the podium position. The man who I predicted to take the victory is, well, he's making inroads, and he's not doing so badly at the moment. As we may well be getting a little guest appearance. We may well be getting Mr. Lindsay Muddle coming and joining us in a minute on what will be lap number 10 of this race. Of course, waking up from Australia isn't necessarily an ideal situation for him, but we will hopefully be joined by him within the next couple of laps, and then he can hop in right into the action halfway through. And, well, the action that we've had so far this race ain't been half bad, I think it's fair to say. Some swaps for the lead. We've still got now 12 drivers in contention, with Akim now joining up to the back of the field. Of this field, at least, with Patrick Pierce, Giovanni Galeotto and Marcus Olmedo off of it, with Mikolaj Novicki out of the session entirely. So not an ideal situation for the only Aston Martin driver, or the Red Bull, or the V-Carb, or the McLaren as well. The only McLaren in this race is currently sitting outside of the points in P13. And, well, we'll see how this race transpires for those down the bottom, because potentially there could be something along the lines of a safety car that comes out and saves their skin. Speaking of saving their skin, Lindsay will join us within the next lap or so. So there will be 2 voices, one with a slightly southern twang, and well, enjoy that one, as we are enjoying this race at the moment. And we're enjoying these battles as Santa Maria looks to the inside of Nathan once more. Instead of for P3, though, this one is for P number 4, as Langrock has been able to make his way through. And the man in P3 is looking to shape up the moves on everybody else. He's in the Ferrari at the moment, sitting in the final podium position. And he's going to try to fight his way through. Now, he's shown some great pace and some great composure as well. To be in with a shot of Takubi, and running wide for the Mercedes opens up that shot and opens up the opportunity for Dennis Langrock to make his way through. He's through on track. He could get 2. Jacob Strode is opening up that inside line. Dennis Langrock does not take it. Takubi holding the inside. Dennis Langrock braking later, but that means his exit's going to be compromised, and it's going to be Takubi who comes out on top, but Dennis somehow getting the exit, and he's going to be boxed in by Jacob Strode. They're going to be side by side into Copse. Contact between Takubi and Langrock. Neither's going to yield. And it's now Langrock on the outside line as they head into Copse, as opposed to the move on the previous couple of laps where Langrock was on the inside. But he has made that move stick, but not for very much longer as Takubi makes his way through potentially an illegal overtake gone Langrock's way as a result of being quote-unquote squeezed off the circuit by Takubi. But in the end, he's up into P2. Once again is Takubi and Dennis Langrock holding on to P3 with Nathan now bearing down on him as they head down to the straight for the 12th lap. And, well, we've still got 12 drivers within this top battle. And this is where we start to think about pit stops, specifically for Thomas Lang. Everybody else is on a set of the mediums. Galeotto and Olmedo have pitted. I believe Galeotto might be pitting to retire here, which would be a shame. But, I mean, can you blame him? He's off at the DRS, as is Marcus Olmedo. Potentially they're coming in to actually retire, not retire even. They might even be coming in for a pit stop. Galeotto's going on to a set of hards. He's going to the end of the race. Marcus Olmedo is coming in. He doesn't look like he's retiring. He's switching on to a set of the softs. So fair play to those two as they're going to head out of the pits. Still fighting for this race. And, well, I like to see the fights. I like to see the battles for them. We are continuing on now, almost halfway through this race. Dennis Langrock looking very racy on the back of Takubi. And I think, yeah, they are going to start to think about pit stops as Noel gets that overtake done on Pavlagas in style into P8. And now has a look at the back of Thomas Lang in the Mercedes, who could potentially be coming in to the into the pits on this lap. To switch off of a set of the softs as the lead switches once again. It's Takubi who leads this one. Thomas Lang does peel off into the pits and will be taking those soft compound tyres off and switching onto a set of presumably the mediums until the end of this race. But he will take a massive hit in terms of his lap time as it is one of the longest in terms of lap time, not necessarily in distance, pit lanes on the calendar. With 37 miles an hour, which I was informed yesterday is not 50 kilometres, it is 60 kilometres, as, well, he's going to head through there at a very slow rate. Indeed, Ivan Santamaria is looking once again to fight with Nathan and trying to get ahead of him as Lang's going to come out in P13. 20 seconds off of Patrick Pillis, which means 25 seconds off the pack. So about 25 seconds is what he's going to lose, potentially 26 or 27. I think, if I remember rightly, it's 27.6 seconds that you lose in the pits. But I could be very, very wrong. But we will head on as, well, that is the sound of a very tired Australian. Well, I mean, you've made it in time for the halfway mark of this race. And, well...
Wait, what?
What do you mean?
Hold on, did everything move back an hour?
Yes. I thought
I
that's why you were
aware of that.
confused. But, yeah.
I didn't know that.
That's why I told you were late. I understand.
See, I thought you meant... Okay.
But that's fine. Yeah, it's halfway through the British Grand Prix, and well, we've had our first round of pit stops with a few drivers coming in. I will allow you the opportunity to get into the session. You can join off my Steam, but I will keep going until at least you are into the lobby and
my
ready.
apologies.
That's
And then
fine.
I go back an hour on Sunday, so that... No. Oh, no. That means the race is going to be at 4 a.m.
Really?
Okay, that's
Eesh.
interesting. And I'll sort that out. Anyway,
Yes.
yeah, I
Well,
didn't realize that the time zone changed. Back to the racing.
back to the racing. No worries. I understand time zone issues as it looks as though Marcus Olmedo potentially retired on track. And we've just gone under safety cars. Perfect timing for you to get into the session. And, well, Marcus Olmedo either retired on track or has crashed on the main straight which would be difficult to do, I would argue. And, we've got to our first safety car period, which is annoying for everybody P9 and down who've come into the pits on the last few laps. But perfect timing for everybody P1 to P8, who are now going to dive into the pits for a set of softs. And, just to give you a rundown of the race, as Ramarini picks up a 10-second penalty for contact with Fiorino. Not what the Ferrari would have wanted, but it was Jacob Strode and... Right, hang on. Jacob Strode, Takubi, and David Martinez fighting for the lead. Nathan was in P4. This was at the start. Then Nathan went for a ambitious send and took out David Martinez. And ever since, it's been Takubi, Strode, Nathan, and Dennis Langrock, who's fought his way up from, I believe, 7th on the grid. Oh no, 5th on the grid, but he dropped down at the start to, I believe, 6th or 7th or something like that, who's in P3 at the moment. Some deciding... No, everybody's gone in. I was going to say some deciding to stay out, but no, almost everybody's coming to the pits, the exceptions being those who came in on that previous lap. And, Giovanni Gagliotto has come in as well. So everybody will be on a brand new set of the soft compound tyre. And, we will have 11 laps to go in the British Grand Prix.
Yep, so as somebody who's just joined in the middle, this is definitely an interesting point to be joining in everybody on a fresh set of soft compound tyres. 11 laps to go, as you said. And I imagine the safety car will probably be in at the end of next lap, and it should just be a 10-lap sprint until the end on soft compound tyres. And tyre wear towards the end of this race could definitely play a huge factor. So I think that whoever has the best chance up the front is whoever protects their tyres the most.
Yeah, I think that's just the part and parcel of it. These drivers, it will all be down to who can protect those tyres the most. And, if it's anything like that first stint, Thomas Lang, who made those softs last a very long time, will be in a very good position. However, he did do one lap on the mediums, but he's come back in for a set of the softs. So he can take these ones to the end, and so he has technically had that advantage. However, he hasn't had an advantage pace-wise since about lap 9 or 10, I'd say. So these softs will fall off at the end. Anybody who switched onto the mediums, I think, would have been in a good position at the end. But Thomas swapping back into the pit and swapping to a set of a brand new set of soft compound tyres. So clearly he feels that as though they felt better. He had one racing lap on the mediums and he's dived back into the pits. We do have a couple of penalties. Alessio Fiorino and Mattia Ramarini having two separate occasions of coming in. And we've got broadcast safety car on. Oh no. Just for context, we had crossplay on in qualifying. And now we have broadcast on in the race. So a break week has sort of thrown our lobby host into a little bit of issues. But hopefully we can get underway shortly with no issues.
Well, this would not be it, I guess. I thought the safety car was going to peel off because broadcast safety car, but I guess not. I imagine it'll get back underway in a moment because we'll have another cut off, and then we'll be back underway for racing action. At least I hope that's the way that it ends up going. Not many times I've actually ever seen the broadcast safety car in use.
I think there's reasons for that as well. So
yeah, obvious. Yeah, of course. I do wish that our broadcast did look like that though, like the way that it actually looks like the normal leaderboard. But anyway, the safety car, it's in at the end of this lap, and we're about to get underway for racing action here in Silverstone. And seeing as you've been commentating this entire thing till this point, do you want to take this away?
Absolutely fine. Well, it's going to be Takubi who rounds the final corner and will take us back to green flag racing. And he's going to take us back to green flag racing pretty prompt. And, we're back underway. Takubi got that start almost nailed, and Jacob Strode about 5/10 back now. And, that's not what he would have wanted off of that safety car restart. He's going to come under more pressure from Dennis Langrock. However, not a great start either for Langrock, and he sits in P3. It could potentially be the two kick Sauber side by side, but Pauverlegas just backs out of it as he doesn't feel as though he's got the pace quite yet to get past Fiorino into P6. But a late lunge from Pauverlegas, and he pulls alongside. But the exit, not quite what he would have wanted, and so he has to sit in behind David Martinez. He's going to try now to maybe take advantage, but Pau has broken that DRS. It's no love lost between the two teammates as they head into Cops, and Fiorino holds on to P6 for the time being. So that fighting, arguably not worth it, but Fiorino now 1.1 seconds off of the pack, and well, the top 5 breaking free once again, as we saw before. The top 5 are going to fight away, and into the final couple of corners, it's going to be Takubi who leads Danis Langrock 6/10 back. We've had a move from Noel ahead of Patrick Pillis, Thomas Lang going through as well. But a couple of switches on that safety car restart. Other than that, it's been a pretty stable one as fastest laps are flying in lap 19 of 26. And we could be heading towards the end of this race with an almighty scrap on our hands. Takubi holding on to the lead at the moment, but the top 5 looking very, very racy.
Yep, and obviously the train that we were looking at here with the two Saubers, the Haas and the Ferrari, is also looking very punchy at the moment. Power looking very desperate to try and get past his teammate of Fiorino as they make their way down the Wellington Straight. And in the background as well, Thomas Lang makes a move on Noel, gets that one done, but nearly contact between the two of them as Noel just has faster apex speed and had to back off just a little bit. But Fiorino has just been under a little bit of pressure, and actually he's running a little bit low on battery in his Sauber, so that could compromise him a bit as they head towards the third sector. But back up the front, we're about to head towards the major DRS zone at the Hangar Straight, and Jacob Strode has set up a perfect exit here out of Chapel, and as we head onto the straight, the DRS will be wide open on the back of that Williams car, and he's going to pull to the left-hand side, and he's going to sail past the Mercedes. Meanwhile, in the background, Nathan is going to fly. No, he's not going to fly past Dennis Langlock. I do believe that he just held onto the place, but in the background, Martinez is trying to clear both of the Saubers. He goes the long way round at the Vale chicane and gets both Pau and Fiorino.
Yeah, that is a very good move from Martinez, and a very necessary move as well, as those kick Saubers looked as though they were going to trip over each other for this race. And we've got about 6 laps left to go in this one. David Martinez has about 2 seconds to catch up to Ivan Santamaria and be back in contention for this race. He's shown the pace. He showed it by taking pole position in qualifying. He's going to try and show it once again, and he's 1.8 seconds off of the top few. If Strode and Takubi start fighting, that is going to be David Martinez's perfect opportunity to come into the fold and fight with the top 5. But at the moment, he just sits behind, and he will lose that time due to the DRS, and he could even be fought by Pauverlegas as they head through now on lap number 20. It's the top 5 who are staying in position, but Takubi just over a 10th behind Jacob Strode. Nathan just over a 10th behind Takubi, and he could be making that move. They both could be making that move. We'll have to wait and see. It's once again going to be the DRS rate. I'm sure it's once again going to be a pretty simple switch for the lead between Strode and Takubi. They've done it many a time in this race, and they're not going to do it once again. Takubi sitting behind. We saw this earlier with the Mercedes just opting to not go past and just to sit in behind Jacob Strode, where I think he's starting to manage his race as Thomas Lang makes up the move on Mattia Ramarini and goes up into P9. The next man up is Alessio Fiorino. But Thomas Lang, who didn't quite show the outstanding pace we expected from the soft compound tyres, has made his way now up into P9 on the second stint of softs when everybody else is on the same set of tyres. And just behind them, Noel, huge send on Mattia Ramarini. Around the outside, he's going to try and hold it. Is he going to be able to make this one stick? Keeping both of his left-hand side tyres on the circuit? Not quite. And he's going to have to sit behind Dennis Langrock and Nathan side by side for P3. Who's going to hold on to this one? It's the inside line for Nathan, and it's going to be the exit for Langrock then. And he's now going to head down. It all comes down to who can get that slipstream off Takubi. They're going to fight over it, and it's going to be Nathan who gets it. However, Dennis isn't going to back out of this one. It's the second time we've seen these two in this formation head through Cops. and it's going to be Langrock who comes out on top. They're going to head through Maggots and Beckett side by side, but it's Langrock who comes out through and holds on to P3. The next target is now Takubi and Jacob Strode. The top two are in range for the man that I predicted to take victory in this one, and the Ferrari is certainly looking to shape up a race victory today.
Yep, and I think he's on an absolute charge here. We just saw him get past Nathan, and that was some aggressive elbows out racing from the both of them. Nathan won't be done yet either, though. He is going to try and get his nose back in with that Ferrari, I'm sure, and go wheel to wheel once again. But Langrock has his sights set on the top two as they make their way onto lap 22. So there is 4 laps remaining in this British Grand Prix, and it's still anybody's guess as to who can win this race. It'll probably be someone in the top 5 if something doesn't go majorly wrong here up the front. But I think the better question is who. I think the favourites have to be anybody in that top 3, but Nathan and Santa Maria as well can't be counted out as they make their way down the straight and towards the braking zone. Nobody going wheel to wheel this time around. We did see this time last lap Nathan and Langrock were wheel to wheel, but this time they stay single file as they make their way towards Copse Corner, and this time they won't have any cars side by side at this corner, which is probably safer than not. For a lot of these drives at this stage of the race, you don't want to be risking it all, not until the last 2 laps at least. You don't want to be trying to go side by side at Copse every single lap from now until the finish, because you'll either have a crash or you'll find yourself losing a lot of time. But here we go as they head through Maggots and Beckett and into Chapel now. Onto the straight. Takubi is right behind Strode as they make their way towards the Stowe corner. And will he go for the move? No, he won't. Langrock isn't able to get alongside either. In the background, though, Powell gets back past David Martinez and moves up past the Haas driver as we make our way through the Vale chicane now. It looks like Strode, Takubi, Langrock, and the rest of the top 5 are all still sitting single file. They don't want to get the elbows out here as they head on to lap 23.
Yeah, lap 23 or 26, and well, it's looking closer than ever. These top 5 are just waiting and waiting for an opportunity. They're waiting for somebody to try and make a move. And, well, somebody who does make a move, Thomas Lang up into P8. And, well, the gap is coming down, but not by enough for Pau Villegas, who is now the leader of the chasing pack, to get up into that top 5. He's 1.8 seconds behind. He's only gained 0.2 ever since he made the overtake. And now they're all waiting for somebody to trip over someone else in this top 5 group, and it's our championship leader Nathan who's looking as though he's the most likely to do it as Ivan Santamaria goes side by side. It's the inside line for Nathan. Santamaria holds the outside and he shows Dennis Langrock exactly how you make a move through Copse, and he's up into P number 4. So a very, very good move from Ivan Santamaria there, and he makes his way past our championship leader, who of course potentially has a penalty impending for contact with David Martinez. We could be seeing 2 wide for P2 with Dennis Langrock on the inside of Takubi. Not quite. And Takubi now trying potentially to take this race lead. Ivan Santamaria to trying to take P3 around the outside of Dennis Langrock. But there's nothing there for the Red Bull. And he sits in P4 with Nathan sitting in P5. It's another lap. And now the top 5 tripping over each other, as I said on that last lap. David Martinez is just 1.1 seconds behind, and depending on how hard he pushes in this first sector, he could well have DRS.
Yep, this could be a very interesting end to this race if they keep scrapping. There we go. The Haas is within DRS range. He wasn't at the detection point, but it will still help him. They're battling away as Langrock is going to go down the inside of Takubi as they make their way through Brooklands and now through the long right-hander of Luffield. Who's going to get the best traction out of the corner? Towards Copse Corner they go. It's the long run down the old pitch straight, and Takubi is side by side with Dennis Langrock. And will now Takubi pull out on the inside of the Williams? Nearly, and it's side by side through Copse. There's nearly contact between Langrock and Takubi as they go side by side through Maggots and Beckett. This could potentially end in disaster, but it isn't going to end in disaster as that's a move moved a long way around a chapel from Dennis Langrock, and now onto the hanger straight towards Stowe they go. It's going to be a drag race. Ferrari versus Mercedes. Santa Maria thinks about getting the nose in, and what a fantastic overtake and a fantastic bit of racing from Langrock to move up into P2. That was absolutely sensational stuff, as now next on Langrock's hit list is Strode, and that'll be for the race lead as they head on to the penultimate lap of this race.
We've only got 2 laps to go, and it's Jacob Strode who leads this one, but Dennis Langrock, who sits in P2, and he could be making this move as early as the next DRS straight. Is he going to be making it, or is he going to come under pressure from Takubi? Well, it could be both, as Takubi potentially looked for an outside line, but Dennis Langrock just slamming the door and not allowing him through. Strode will not have DRS, Langrock will, and it's a case of what the Ferrari wants to do, whether he wants to sit behind, whether he wants to make that move, or whether he's going to come under pressure from Takubi. He does, and it's the inside line now switch for the Mercedes, but he's been boxed in by Strode, and we could be seeing, for the 4th time this race, Dennis side by side with somebody into Copse. However, he gets the exit, and Takubi sits in P3 once again, and Dennis just holds on to P2 for now. He will try to hold on, I would imagine, until the very last lap of this race, and the very last DRS straight, but he's got Takubi for company behind, and if not the Mercedes, then the Red Bull and the RB of Santa Maria and Nathan as well. It's DRS open for all of those drivers behind Strode, and it's now a case of strategy. It's now a case of who goes when, and Langrock aggressively defending against Takubi, but he might not have done enough, as they are still side by side as they head into the last 2 corners of this race and of this penultimate lap. It's side by side, Takubi and Langrock, and it's Langrock out on top once again. So he holds P2, and as they head into the final lap of this race, it's Dennis Langrock in the prime position.
Yep, he's trying to hunt for this race victory. Jacob Strode has been leading since the restart. Very rarely has he swapped around, and especially recently we've seen Takubi sitting behind, but that's ended up being his kryptonite. It invited Langrock into the party, and Langrock then got past Takubi a couple of laps ago, and since then it's been them wheel to wheel, but now Strode will more than likely find himself being the car under pressure and without DRS after the straight after Magaton Beckett's and Chapel, as Power goes side by side with Martinez as well for the P6 position. It's all kicking off here on the final lap. It's Williams versus Ferrari versus Mercedes versus Red Bull and RB, and don't forget the Haas and the Sauber and the other Mercedes up the back as well. This train has extended as the leaders have battled more and more and more, and Santa Maria in the background is trying to find a way past Takubi here to get the final podium position in this race, but Nathan is also on the hunt for that elusive podium place. But speaking of elusive podium places, Langrock for the race win here is going to go down the inside of Stowe. There's wheel banging between the 2 leaders. Langrock on the inside of Strode is going to get the move done, but now down towards the Val Chicane. Will Strode give this one up? Yes, he will. And as they round the final corner now, Langrock gets the move done in fashionable time, and he's going to round the final corner and take the race victory. But towards the line, there's so many small gaps. Strode gets P2, Takubi just gets P3, but in P4, I believe Nathan was just about able to get it back from Santa Maria.
Well, in the end, what a victory that was. It was such a tense race all race long, and it was taken in the end by, well, it was taken in the end by the Ferrari of Dennis Langrock, who very much earned that race victory. Jacob Strode in P2 and Takubi, that final podium position, with Nathan, our championship leader, extending his lead in P4. But it is oh so close at the top, and anything could happen. Then it's Santa Maria, Martinez, then Pau Villegas, Lang, Knoll, and Galeotto with, well, Akim Lai, Patrick Pillis, Alessio Fiorino, and Mattia Ramarini rounding out our classified finishers. Of course, Ramarini retired with 2 laps to go, but he is classified. Then it's Marcus Olmedo and Mikolaj Novicki rounding out our field, and that is the 16 drivers that took to the British Grand Prix for PSGL PCF5. But Langrock, finally, a driver I haven't cursed. I predicted him to win today, and he's come through, and he's taken victory. So thank you for being probably the first driver I've ever predicted to come out in P1.
Yeah, well, the curse has to be broken eventually, right? It always does happen, but you know what? P1 to P6 for Martinez, probably not the result. Are you sure you didn't mention his name at any point during the night?
Well, I mean, we've had for Martinez, it was pole position by quite an easy margin, but then of course contact with Nathan dropped him down. So P6, pretty good result from the Spaniard, who's in an NLR Spaniard sandwich with Santa Maria in P5 and Villegas in P7. So I think he's pretty comfortable in those positions. But a good fight back then from him, and well, he takes in the end P number 6.
Well, I mean, I didn't actually know pretty much what was going on at all. So considering I jumped in, that was a very exciting end to the race. I couldn't imagine what the first 15 or so laps would have been like. But yeah, that was fantastic racing to close out the Grand Prix. That was some of the closest racing I think I've seen in quite a while, especially towards the back end of a race.
Yeah, it was. I mean, the racecraft they showed all race long was commendable, and that is exactly what you expect from F5, where it's the top drivers racing against the top drivers. And in the end, it was the top driver coming out of Dennis Langrock. He took that victory. I will round out right now as well. It is what it is. And we ended up getting all 26 laps, half of which with you, Lindsay. So thank you for joining me in the end, because I don't think I would have been able to cope. But hopefully we will both be back together next week for the whole race. It will be at 4 a.m. for you, so make sure you set a time. But until next time, it is goodbye.